We begin this morning in the Middle East, where a ceasefire is now in effect in Gaza. Israel's government approved the first phase of President Trump's peace plan overnight. Now that the fighting is on pause, we should see the release of the remaining hostages in less than 72 hours. That is in exchange for hundreds of Palestinian prisoners. For more on this, I want to bring in CBS News reporter Haley Ott, who's reporting live from Tel Aviv this morning. Haley, good morning. It is a good morning for so many people, both in Israel and in Gaza. This ceasefire has finally come into effect. What are you hearing from people on the ground? I was texting with a close friend of mine who's Israeli, who lives in Tel Aviv, and I texted her 3 days ago, and she didn't respond to me, and she finally responded to me last night, and she told me that she didn't want to respond until everything had been agreed to. She was holding her breath and didn't want to get ahead of herself, and now she's breathing a sigh of relief.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were, and excuse me, there's a boisterous conversation going on right behind us, so that's what you might be hearing. A lot of people were reluctant to get their hopes up about this deal, but after what we've seen over the last evening, people are excited and really hopeful that this is going to come to fruition. As you said, the ceasefire came into effect at noon local time here, so that's about 5 hours ago. We heard from our colleagues in Gaza this morning that earlier, before noon local, there were still Israeli attacks being carried out in Gaza, and health officials there said at least 8 people were killed today. But now, people in Gaza appear to be able to move back towards Gaza City using certain routes. People have been warned to avoid certain areas and not approach Israeli troops because it would be dangerous. But a visibly emotional IDF spokesperson just a little while ago made a statement saying that Israeli troops had withdrawn to that agreed-upon line we've been hearing about within Gaza as stipulated in the White House plan. So things appear to be on track, and the ceasefire appears to be holding.
So one of the things that we just mentioned, Haley, as you know, that will happen is the hostages should be coming home within the next 72 hours. And in exchange, the Israelis are going to release hundreds of Palestinian prisoners. Having spent time in the region, in the West Bank and in Jerusalem and Tel Aviv, covering this conflict earlier this decade, I covered many prisoner release. Explain to people who these prisoners are that are going to be released, and how critical is it for those prisoners to be released, some of them who've done some really despicable things, to get those hostages back into their families.
Yeah, and the list of prisoners was definitely part of the negotiation and definitely part of the conversation, certainly last night with the Israeli government. The way it tends to work here, because as you say, there have been a number of these prisoner releases, is that a list is put together, and then the families of those who have been affected by the prisoners' crimes get to weigh in, and they have a certain period of time to make an appeal, and then the names on the list may or may not be tweaked. We know that there were a few names on that list that were changed overnight, but now the list has been agreed, and so as you said, what we're expecting in the coming hours is that we've seen Israel's withdrawn to that defined line within Gaza. That 72-hour clock has started for Hamas to release the hostages. We could see then those hostages come out anytime in the next few days. And we've heard that the Red Cross, who, as you know, has facilitated previous hostage releases, they say they've begun their preparations. And also it's important to mention aid. We expect the flow of humanitarian aid into Gaza to increase imminently. Italy's Ministry of Defense said 600 trucks of aid a day will enter Gaza through Egypt. The Europeans are the ones who will be helping manage that crossing, so that's why Italy is commenting on that. Separately, also, meetings are beginning here to discuss the so-called day after in Gaza, because what's been approved is the first phase of this plan, which doesn't include many more provisions like will Hamas play any role in Palestinian politics in the future? Who will govern Gaza? So there's still a lot more to be worked out. But that first phase and all the elements that go into it all seem to be on track at this moment.
Yeah. And finally, Haley, before I let you go, one quick question. People are asking me, we know that there are some 48 hostages still in captivity. We know that 20 are still alive. They'll be released, as you say, in the next 72 hours. People are wondering why those who are not are also not going to be released within that same time frame. Can you explain that?
I mean, there's an issue as well with just locating and preparing people's remains. There's also a sense of a hostage that is alive. There would probably perhaps be more of an awareness of their location, and so it would be easier to bring all those people together and to sort of get them all out in one go. And because they are still living, there's an urgency there. Obviously, it's still very important that the remains of the hostages still be brought out, but that just may take more time just because of how intense this conflict has been, and getting together those remains and preparing to send them home.
Yeah, 734 days of conflict, and finally there is light at the end of the tunnel. Haley, thank you very much as always, my friend. Stay safe. We appreciate you. All right, for more on this, let's bring in CBS News correspondent Natalie Brand, who is at the White House. Of course, we know now, Natalie, that the president is headed to the Middle East on Sunday. Walk us through what will happen when he does travel, and just break down the involvement that the president personally had in securing this deal. We know, of course, that his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, and the Middle East envoy, Steve Witkoff, played a huge role, but I'm also seeing reports that the president himself was able to wrangle all the parties to get them to this point.
Yeah, Vlad, well, to begin with that travel, the president is expected to visit Egypt and Israel. He said that he wants to be there, hopes to be there, as hostages start getting released. We also know that he's going to be in attendance for a ceremonial signing of this peace deal that he and his team helped to broker. And he's been invited to address Israel's parliament, the Knesset, and as well, hostage families have said that they want to meet with him. To give some more background on how this all kind of unfolded, senior administration officials, talking about the closeness of the relationship between President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, but also all the Arab partners as well, who helped play a role in this. And you mentioned Jared Kushner. He became a top negotiator in this, along with Middle East Special Envoy Steve Witkoff. They actually gave the presentation to Israel's cabinet before this deal was approved. And you may remember during the first Trump administration, Kushner served as a Mideast advisor and really helped to negotiate the Abraham Accords, which sought to try to normalize relationships between Israel and several Arab states. So this has kind of been years in the making for Kushner and others within President Trump's team here, but all kind of came to a head with different events happening, the timing right for a deal to be brokered. And just to give you a sense of how important it is for the White House that this plays out as planned, this phase one, we've learned that 200 U.S. personnel with CENTCOM will be on the ground helping to monitor implementation, Vlad.
All right, Natalie Brand for us at the White House. Natalie, thank you very much. Appreciate it.